So a 30-year-old man decided to strap up with 5 firearms and head out to the CDC in Atlanta, Georgia, with the sole purpose of shooting people up. Now, no rational individual wakes up in the morning and decides, you know what I'm going to do throughout my day? I'm going to start shooting at people. So obviously there's some mental stability issues with this individual. The core complaint that he had, his main grievance, was the COVID-19 vaccine. He believed the vaccine directly impacted his level of depression and also suicidal thoughts. His neighbors knew how he felt. His father knew how he felt, but nobody thought he would take it to this level, to the point where he's going to a federal building with firearms. Now, the thing with COVID-19 and the vaccine, there's a lot of division when it comes to, is the vaccine legit? Is it not legit? I looked at a recent poll not too long ago. Over 30% of Americans still believe it's better to get COVID than to take the vaccine. And this is exasperated when it comes to social media, the algorithm. Who do you trust? This level of distrust in the vaccine, it didn't happen from one day to the next, to the point where you feel like violence is the only answer. This is something that has been marinating under the surface weeks, months, years. There's a TikTok reel. There's an Instagram story. There's a meme. You're sharing it around, and slowly the individual thinks the only option I have is to target the CDC. But why the CDC? The workers in that building, they do not set health policy. They do not set a vaccine mandate. They don't have the power to do that. CDC recommends, the president sends out the executive order. The governors of the state, they issue orders. So are we not targeting the wrong people? If you believe violence was the answer, which I don't think it should be. I don't think it ever should be. But for this individual, if he thought that violence was the answer, what are you shooting the GS7, the GS9, the lowly clerks inside of the cubicles within that building? How did they become the target? Now, once he tried to get access into the CDC, he was turned away because there's security outside and inside of federal buildings. They're checking to see if you have an ID. They call it a PIV. Do you have your PIV? Even as a guest trying to get through there, a lot of times you have to go through a metal detector. We know that wasn't going to work. With this individual carrying so many firearms, the metal detector would have went off. So he gets turned away. He goes across the street. There's like a pharmacy over there. From that point, he starts discharging those rounds. A few of the rounds actually hit the CDC building. I think 4 buildings were struck. Then the police respond. One of the first police officers that approached the situation, they're gunned down. Right? So this is like a 30-year-old Marine veteran that is in the capacity of a law enforcement officer. They get hit. That individual is now gone. The whole situation is tragic. Even the shooter himself is no longer here. The union responded to the attack saying it was not random. This is not an arbitrary event. You shouldn't just brush it under the rug. It needs to be dealt with. It needs to be handled. And number one, it occurred because of misinformation. Number two is the vilification. Right? And regardless of what you think is accurate or not, when it comes to the information, you can agree that CDC, HHS, segments of the government have been vilified, meaning that they're the villain. And when you keep beating that drum of they're the villain, they're trying to harm you, they're trying to take away your freedoms, they're lazy, they're, exploiting tax dollars. When you start beating that drum, there are some people that are willing to take it to the streets. They're willing to take it to the next level. It's not just political rhetoric. It's a call to action, and people will answer that call. There's thousands, if not more, in this country that will answer that call, so it's dangerous. Unions saying, hey, leadership needs to step up, apologize, and address what happened. So HHS RFK Jr. comes out and says he condemns the attacks, which is a great first step. Love to hear it. But he did not address the misinformation. It's probably because he doesn't believe it. So that's still an issue with that. Now, unions also saying that these individuals, they need, the CDC staff, the work staff, they need to go home, work from home for a little bit until they can, process the crime scene, get the bullets out of the wall, there was one window that was hit. So replace the window, improve security. I think you can agree with me on that, that security needs to be improved around that facility before the workers come back. I believe that the CDC was largely targeted because it is a symbol of the vaccine program. And why do we have people that resort to violence throughout the country, throughout the world? Usually, it's for one main reason. They feel powerless. So to grab a firearm and to squeeze the trigger and to take someone's life, that's a sense of power. That's an incredible sense of power. So when you have somebody that feels so helpless in life, they no longer can determine their fate. And believe me, I mean, even in the military, you see countless of soldiers that go through this. They cannot determine their fate. They feel like they're just a participant in the life. They're not even the main character. They're like the NPC. They're just somebody there, and they just want it to be over. They want to be able to control something, right? So that's number one. Number two is a great sense of injustice. So if you combine those things, if you don't have much to lose and you feel completely powerless, and there's been injustice from your perception, because we all have different perceptions. Mine probably is completely different than yours. It doesn't make yours any less valid. It's completely valid to you. So when you identify an injustice, you want to resolve that. You want to make things right in the world. And it's absolutely horrible that it comes down to this. And because of this incident, I would say we would like to see increased security, not just in CDC, but probably especially CDC, but also some of the other federal agencies that we have through DC and through the country. Now, in addition to this, we have artificial intelligence that's starting to take over more and more jobs. This is going to impact the federal workforce probably a lot sooner than you think. If you want to know more about that, check this video out next. Stay updated by signing up to the free newsletter down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.